Hey everybody, Josh here for another episode of the weekly business vlog. How the heck are you doing? I'm kind of tired for this one. I don't know why. Well, part of it is I just came back from a good workout. Do you guys have a good exercise routine? I really find that a good morning routine is so key, or at least can make a big difference. I remember about a year ago, I think I posted a morning routine on LinkedIn and it got some good traction. I feel like people like to talk about or read about morning routines. So anyways, let me know if you're that type of person. Usually every weekday, so Monday to Friday, I get up, I get ready, and the first thing I do is either go to the gym or go for a nice walk. And because number one, I find it's a great way to start the day. I feel more energized, feels like you accomplished something even before you kind of hit the computer. But also, I've tried exercising at different points throughout the day, and I don't have the energy later on. Like if I don't work out first thing in the morning, I'm never going to work out that day, most likely, especially if it's a weekday. So anyways, had a good workout. We're getting started here for the day. I'm actually recording this on a Friday, as some of you know. But I don't know, I'm feeling a little lazy today. I don't know. It's been a good week. Things are going pretty well, so I guess I'll do a quick update. Things are going pretty well. We continue to add new firms, kind of like pretty much every week, continue to make the product better every week. We're in the process of hiring a customer success representative, which is awesome. So we're going to be growing the team by a little bit, which is exciting. So everything's good. I don't know. I feel like, dare I say, we've kind of reached a relatively stable point. And the reason why I say this is for some of you that may have been following my journey for a while, or maybe some of you going through the tech company journey right now, it's tough. Like tech is so different from starting a service-based business. And I've talked about this before, so I'm not going to go into in-depth detail. But tech is so different because of this thing called product market fit, right? If you're starting a relatively traditional service-based business, law, accounting, consulting, blah, 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 whatever it is, insert business here, floor cleaning, window washing. You don't need to go find product market fit, right? These are some of these are 100+ year old, centuries old professions. There's people out there who want them. You have to just go find them. Now, easier said than done, right? That doesn't mean I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying that that there's a market for it somewhere. The big difference in technology that I learned the very hard way is this lovely term called product market fit, where you could build the best tech product in the world, and if nobody wants it, or if no one's willing to pay for it, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And it probably took us a solid 4 years. I was emailing with one of our newer subscribers earlier in the week. It probably took us a solid 4 years just to find product market fit, multiple pivots, multiple fundraisers, and now we're at the point where we've got 80+ Canadian immigration law firms that use our software, and they seem to be pretty damn happy, which is great, and we continue to add new ones each week. So it's almost like a weird feeling in a sense. Number one, we're obviously happy, and we're not satisfied yet. We want to keep growing, right? But for maybe the first time ever, with this company, Visto, I can kind of look back and be like, hey, we're actually in a pretty good spot. We're not going to go broke in 4 months from now. You know what I mean? Quite the opposite. I think we're here to stay, which is awesome. So it's almost like a weird feeling, but in a good way. I don't know if anybody can relate, or what I'll say is for those of you who are maybe earlier on in the tech journey, you have my compassion. It is tough. And if you have any questions, by all means, let me know. Comment if you're watching on YouTube, or reach out. If you're listening on the podcast, I don't know what the heck you can do, because I don't think you can comment on the podcast. If you're listening through Substack, then, you can obviously respond to my Substack posts. And if you're not following me on Substack, well, what in the heck are you really doing, right? So if you're watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast, make sure to go into the description, click the link to my Substack, make sure you subscribe, because you'll get my Monday morning post, and you'll also get a link to this vlog as well to make sure that you don't miss it. So things have been good. I would say I'm getting to the point where I'm kind of ready for my vacation that's coming up next month. For me, I would say, and again, I've talked about vacations before, but I'm just going to reiterate because I think this is important for entrepreneurs, right? When you're an employee, you kind of know and or are forced and or have the freedom to take the vacation whenever you want. When you're an entrepreneur, solopreneur, it's kind of a weird thing, vacations. Well, I don't know, maybe you can relate, maybe you can't relate, is your business only grows if you're working on it. So you kind of feel bad when you're not working on it, or you hesitate to take vacations, especially earlier on, because then you know you're kind of like halting growth. But I think eventually you get to a point, or you just learn the hard way, that if you're not taking enough time off each year, it actually has a negative effect, right? Obviously, you need to work on and in the business to grow it. But if you don't take care of yourself, then you can hit a wall, and actually the quality of your work might decrease, which ends up hurting the business in the long run. So for me, what I've found works pretty well is to take 2 longer vacations per year, like 2 vacations that are at least a week off per year. And usually I take one around the Christmas holidays because it's quiet, everybody's off anyways. And then I'll take one kind of like in or around the summertime. And they're each anywhere from 7 to 14 days off. And then sprinkled throughout the year, a couple long, when there's long weekends and stuff like that, or maybe take a random Friday off here and there if I need it. And I think I'm getting to the point where I'm ready for that longer vacation, and we are going away in June, which is awesome. So we're going to be taking a vacation. My wife and I are going to be going away in June. So that's just around the corner. So we're going to continue to push hard here. I want to try and get another 5-10 new clients on board if I can before then, which would be great. The goal for me at the beginning of the year was to get Visto to 100 law firms. At this rate, I think we might get it by Q3. Because when we started the year in January, I want to say we had something like 25 or 30 firms, and we just had a crazy first 4 months of the year in a great way. Right? So I'm thinking at this rate, we're going to crush my goals, which means I probably didn't set them high enough. But we also got to a point where our product really hit an inflection point, like around January, February. So what I mean by that was last year, our product was good, but it really hit by inflection point, I mean, it really kind of, how do I explain this? It really became a great full solution around January, February. And so our conversion rates started to go up, our referrals started to go up, the snowball started rolling, the virtuous circle, started forming. So anyways, that's been great. So I don't know. I don't have much else to talk about in terms of what happened this week. Pretty standard stuff. Pretty fair amount of demos and check-ins, and clients are pretty happy and all that good stuff. So nothing too much else exciting to talk about. I think next week might be a little bit more exciting. I have some networking events. I have some good demos lined up. So next week might be a little bit more exciting. And I might just be a little bit more energetic because I don't know. I'm just having a lazy day. So anyway, sorry about that. Anywho, so let's talk about reading stuff, of course. I finished last week From Impossible to Inevitable. I'm just turning my head here because I forget what the title was. From Impossible to Inevitable. I usually have this next to me so I can hold it up on screen. Hold on one sec. Give me 3 seconds. I'm going to grab it here. Hold on. Here we go. Okay, this is why you should be watching on YouTube, because you get the visual. So here we go. From Impossible to Inevitable. And the subtitle is How Hyper-Growth Companies Create Predictable Revenue by Aaron Ross and Jason Lemkin. And this was a really good book. I've read it before. I read it years ago. This was 6-7 years ago. I was working on a different immigration tech company with a few other guys from California. And at the time, I was kind of in charge of business development and marketing and stuff like that. So they actually bought me this book because they were like, well, you're just a Canadian lawyer who's never done B2B sales in his life. So anyways, they bought me the book. It was a good read. Now that I'm back in the position of doing all of our B2B sales, I wanted to reread it because the good books, as you know, good books should be read at least 2 to 3 times. Not like back to back, but like good books I make sure to circle back to and read at least twice, preferably 3 times over the first few years. Because I don't know about you, if I read a book, I forget half of it 2 weeks later. So the good stuff I want to keep rereading over and over. Like, for example, Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. I think I've read that book 4 times in the last 5 years, maybe. And so the great books, I think, should be reread over and over again. In fact, what I've been thinking of doing now is actually not buying any new books for like the next year and just spend a whole year rereading, because you can't really see it here. I'll tilt the camera for those of you watching on YouTube. Like, I have so many friggin' books, maybe too many, and a lot of them are really good, right? So I do reread, usually I'd say every year, probably like 30 to 50% of the books I read are actually rereads, because, I've read at this point hundreds and hundreds of books, and so I forget the first ones by the time I get to the last ones, you know what I mean? So anyways, and I think with reading and learning, quality over quantity, right? Like, if you can find, let's say you're a copywriter, you don't have to go read 30 books on copywriting. Go find the 2-3 best books on copywriting from the legends and just read them over and over again, right? That's probably the best way. Now, it's a little bit different because, like, in my case, I love reading biographies and autobiographies and memoirs of entrepreneurs. So it is kind of nice to read more of them, right? Like, I'm not going to read Shoe Dog over and over and over again. I will probably read it every 2-ish years, but I'm not going to read like the same 3 biographies over and over again because there's just not enough flavor. But a lot of them I do read over and over again. And anyways, it's been good. It also helps the pocket, right? So like, it's a little cheaper if you don't have to go buy every new book. Anyways, you get my friggin' point by now. So what am I reading now? Great question. Oh my God, am I in heaven? I'm reading the new Elon Musk biography by Walter Isaacson. I'm about maybe 60% through it. For those of you who have seen it, it is massive. It's like a 600-page, it's 600 pages. It is a tome. Like, it is huge. My wife sees me reading it. She's like, you could use this as a weight in the gym. But it's phenomenal so far. I would very much compare it to 2 books that are obvious in hindsight. The Steve Jobs book that Walter Isaacson also wrote, which was phenomenal, and I highly recommend it. So it's like a very similar style. And similar-ish to, like, Ashley Vance wrote the first biography on Elon Musk. And the interesting part about these Musk biographies is you don't even have to, this is going to sound stupid, you don't have to be like an amazing writer or like storyteller, because his story is just nuts, right? Like, the guy is a total animal. He's an entrepreneurial machine. And so most of the book is just Isaacson being like, and then Musk did this, and then Musk did that, and then this happened, and then he said this, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just glued to every page because it's nuts. Like I said, I'm probably about 60% of the way through. He's leading SpaceX to record-breaking years in government contracts and blah, blah, blah. He's leading Tesla to, becoming the most valuable car company in the world. He's helping Solar City, basically, kind of running Solar City with their panels on houses in the US. And there's just all these other things on the side too going on. He's making like $20 million here with the Boring Company and $10 million there with that. So anyways, it's just nuts. Now, there's good always comes with the bad, right? So he was highly impersonal and hurt a lot of people's feelings and expected crazy work hours and all that fun stuff too. So you take the good with the bad. But anyways, I'll probably be done by next week because I'm just flying through it. I'm reading it every night and really enjoying it. So I'll give you the full review when I'm done the book next week. Anyways, that is it for me. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hope all is going well on your end. If you're watching on YouTube and you could throw a like and subscribe, it really helps the channel. If you're listening on the podcast platform of your choice, if you can give it a thumbs up or a 5-star review or whatever the heck that platform allows you to do, that would help. And by all means, make sure you're subscribed on Substack. The link for it will be in the description below so that you don't miss a future episode. Anyways, thanks again for listening in. Hope all is well on your end, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.